Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about an emergency fund. Yes, we're going straight to the point. No panyas, no meandering, nothing of the sort. So, do you know what an emergency fund is? And if yes, do you have an emergency fund? If you don't have an emergency fund or don't know how to build an emergency fund or don't even know what an emergency fund is, don't you worry, because you just clicked on the right video. So let's dive right into our content for today. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Barbara K. If you're new here, you're very welcome. All you need to do to be part of this family is to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it so that you will be the first to know once I post any video. So go ahead, click the subscribe button, and remember, it's all free. So what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is money you set aside to bail you out just in case life throws at you unexpected events. So what are these unexpected events or emergencies? Things like you losing a job, things like you getting involved in a car accident, or unexpected medical bills. Those qualify for an emergency or qualify for the unexpected event. However, you walking past that shoe sale or that car that you've always dreamt of does not qualify as an emergency. I want to try as much as possible to talk about everything emergency fund in detail in this video, or at least the basics when it comes to an emergency fund. Things like, how much should I have in my emergency fund? Why is it important to have an emergency fund? How do I build my emergency fund? Where should my emergency fund be, right? So, but before I forget, in my last video, I talked about how to manage your money or protect your money during a crisis. And I shared with you guys different strategies on how you can do that. In case you watched that video, just add this topic or you having an emergency fund to the strategies that I shared with you. And if you haven't watched that video, my humble advice is that you pause this, go to that video, watch it, and then come back to this so that you and I are on the same page. Why is it important to have an emergency fund? Now, emergency funds act as a financial cushion that helps you keep afloat just in case of any unforeseen financial problems, and it prevents you from having to take on debts or borrow money in order for you to cater for those emergencies. It also gives you a peace of mind. Now, just imagine this. If your parent or your child got into a medical emergency and your insurance cover can't even take care of it, or that's if you're lucky to even have a medical cover, how would you feel knowing that you have some money saved somewhere to take care of that emergency and you don't even need to rely on your friends or on a loan to cater for that emergency? Wouldn't it feel good? An emergency fund can also shelter you from the financial problems that come with loss of income, and especially if you have one source of income, and this loss of income could be either from your job or even your business. Now, just think about this for a moment. Imagine if you lost your job today, like right now, either because you were laid off or maybe your business failed, like it could not pay you bills or completely failed. Would your life be in trouble? If the answer is yes, then you know why it's important to have an emergency fund. Now, let me give you a story of my life. Some years back, I worked for a project that relied heavily, not heavily, 100% on donor money. Time came and the donor money was nowhere to be seen. And guess what they told us? Pack your belongings, goodbye, we can't afford you anymore. And I had to pack my things and go home. And I didn't work for the next 8 months or so. And the honest truth is that I just didn't want to work. I didn't want to look for a job because I needed to take a break. But the other truth is that I was confident to make that decision because I had some money saved up that could help me pay for my expenses and continue living the lifestyle I was living before without any problems, without any stress, without having to borrow money. Had the story of my savings been different, the truth is I don't know where I would be right now. An emergency fund can come in handy when a sudden opportunity arises. A great opportunity that you 100% believe will work might show up. And in that case, you might have to or it's okay for you to use money from your emergency fund account to seize that opportunity and then work on replenishing that account. I would not want to imagine how you would feel or how I would feel if a good company or a friend came and said, hey, there is this business that will make you this much money in future, so bring this much money and invest in, and I don't have any money. It would feel terrible, right? How much money should you have in your emergency fund account? Well, the answer to this is that it depends on your financial situation, but the financial experts recommend having about 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses should you lose your income. So for example, if your monthly living expenses are $500, all you need to do is get the $500, multiply by the number of months you would like to save for. If it's $500 times 3, you do the math, and then that's the money, that's the total amount you'd have to work towards having in your emergency fund account. How do you easily build an emergency fund? One is calculate how much money you should have in an emergency fund, and that is by simply following what I just previously said on how to find out how much money you should have in your emergency fund account. 2 is set a monthly savings goal. For example, if you calculated and found out that you need maybe about $1,500 to cover you for the 3 months or 6 months that you want to save for, say that maybe each month I can put aside $200 towards the $1,500. And I know it is really hard to save for something that you don't know when it will happen or if it will even happen. But trust me, it's all rewarding. All you need to think about is that one emergency you had and you were stuck because you didn't have any money saved. Or think about what would happen in case you lost your income. That will motivate you, or should motivate you, to keep saving towards your emergency fund account. Number 3 is move your money into your savings account automatically. And this applies to people who find it really hard to save. Look for ways on how you can have that money deducted automatically and sent to your emergency fund account. For example, you can talk to your bank and have a standing order with them so that every end month, they can deduct amount X from your account and then send it to your emergency fund account. Or you can talk to your employer to break up your paycheck and then pay your money to your different bank accounts, and one of them being your emergency fund account. Number 4 is look through your expenses and see the expenses that are not necessary or expenses that you can hold on to until you achieve your emergency fund goal. Now, if you're lucky to find that there is something you can cut back, well and good. But remember to use that money that you've saved on that expense to increase your monthly saving goal. Now, I've talked about expenses before in my previous videos. Kindly go check out my video on tracking your expenses and why. And in that video, actually, I talk about why it's important to track your expenses. And I also have another video on what to do with the information you have on your tracking expense sheet. So please go check them out because they will help you. When it comes to an emergency fund account, please separate it. Remember to separate it from your other ordinary or regular account so that you're not tempted to dig deep into it and use the money that is meant for your emergencies. You can maybe look out for savings accounts that have high interest, or you can put your emergency money, in a money market fund that can help you yield some interest on your savings. Whatever you decide to do, make sure that you can easily and quickly access your money should an emergency happen. Please note that an emergency fund is an insurance policy and not an investment. Also remember to be honest with yourself. Be sure that whatever you're going to use your emergency money for is actually an emergency. Don't be tempted to cheat yourself. So go ahead, build that emergency fund if you didn't have any, or if you had depleted your emergency fund, please work on replenishing it, and remember to keep me posted. I would love to hear from you. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was actually helpful, and if it was, please do let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next video. Shalom.